If you're thinking about buying the Native Slayer Propel 10 LTE, well, you're in the right place. And I'll be completely honest with you, I don't give a rip whether you buy this kayak or not. I'm just reviewing it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you all the features. I'm gonna give you an on-the-water test. I'm gonna rate the speed, the stability, and all the other things like I do usually in my videos. I'm gonna walk through the areas of improvement. And at the end, I'm gonna share the type of anglers that this kayak would be perfect for. Let's hop in. So first off, this kayak's gonna come in 4 different colors. They're going to come in the one you're looking at here, which is Hidden Oak. It's going to come in Sublime. I'm not sure who was part of that focus group, but man, that color is loud. But if you're looking for a safety color, well, Native's got you. All right, so now the width is going to be 34.5 inches. The haul weight is 65 pounds, and fully rigged is 85 pounds. So let me differentiate that for you. So the haul weight, this is the weight of the bare kayak shell itself, right? No seat, no pedal drive, no rudder, no hardware, any of that stuff. For the fully rigged weight at 85 pounds, this is going to include the seat. This is going to include the pedal drive, which I need to go get here in a second. It's going to include the rudder system. It's going to include the hardware. Now you're looking at a 20-pound swing. Now, is that going to be the difference on whether or not you can rooftop it? I don't know, but something at least you should know, because every company is a little bit different when they share these numbers. So now let's talk about weight capacity. What you're looking at with this bad boy is going to be 425 pounds. But remember, you need to subtract the fully rigged weight to determine like the actual weight capacity. So the available capacity for paddler and gear is already at 340 pounds when you take that 425 pounds minus that fully rigged weight. So now let's walk through the features. I really like these hatch. Before they had these clips, but I love these are a whole lot easier to kind of lock those in. So open this up, sealed on the inside, room to put whatever you want down there. Up here for the handle, it's just a piece of track mount. So if you're a content creator, you can throw whatever you want up here. You can put a camera here, put a variety of different things, because that is that typical track mount you would use to load any type of gear that you want to. Now, instead of a track mount, you have these guys, which are kind of built in, which you can put the Yak Attack, put a 1/4 stud here, and put another lock and load mount like the one you see right here. You can put one of those, and they will fit either on the right or the left. Now this is the Propel Series 701, and I have been using the Propel Drive for years, and I think it's been out. They've been creating and iterating it for, I don't know, 13 years or so. So this thing is bulletproof. The reason I love the Propel Drive, it's so easy to work on. In fact, I did an entire series on how to take this apart, how to replace the upper and lower assembly, how to grease it, how to maintain it, to make sure that this thing lasts a very long time for you. Moving down the rig, this thing, if you've never seen a pedal drive before, you lift this up and you remove the centerpiece, and that's how it drops down in there. And when you're not using it, you can pull it up, say you need to go really shallow, and you can paddle while keeping this up. Now this is where you can lock it down. I never actually lock it down in case I happen to hit an underwater stump or something like that. I don't want my whole boat coming up. I'd rather just the motor kick up. So big giant scuppers, we do an on-the-water test, kind of talk about those in a little bit. I always love deck pads. I know some kayaks, even at this price point, have little ones. You got accessory rails going all the way down, and I always love these things because if you have something mounted here, before, if this is just one track without this cutout, you'd have to take everything off and then slide it in and then put it all back together. So I like that. This is going to allow you to trim your seat forward and backwards. Really easy there. You got 2 handles on both sides over there. And then we have the seat somewhat, I mean, these are comfortable if you're going underwater for a few hours. However, if you're going to be out in the water for hours upon hours, I'm going to recommend getting some type of seat cushion. I like the Yak Attack ones. Those are solid. And so you can look into that. But all in all, pretty heavy duty seat. It's going to last you a long time. Not a swivel seat, just going to move forward and backward. This is going to be your rudder control, right? And so when you move this left to right, you can see down here, this is going to move back and forth. Also, what you got behind here, this is just a catch board, a tournament fish. It is Native Sidekick compatible. So when you pull it out of your truck, you can just roll this down to the water, and then instead of walking these back up to your truck, you just kind of fold them backwards and they stay there the entire time that you're out there. You're going to have 2 rod holders, flush mounts built in, and then another one up here. All right, so I have a black pack behind mine. So if you already have one of these, it's going to fit every single size, right? This is going to be the 13 by 16. It's also going to fit your 16 by 16. You got a power link plate back here for any motor. It's motor capable. I would say, however, if you're going to put a motor on it and you're not going to put any type of foot steering to it, you don't want to overpower this, right? Because you're going to have a hard time making it move left and right with a 3 horsepower motor. And so this is an NK 180. You can get an NK 180 Pro, but I wouldn't get anything bigger than that if you plan on using the steering control to move your kayak and to steer your kayak. Now they do have these little tacos which you can break your paddle in half and like put half it out the back here and half it out the back here. Completely honest with you, I think that's pretty dumb. If the paddle was like your third redundancy and you're grabbing for it, usually grabbing for it in an emergency, right? You already have a motor, you already have a pedal drive. If you're grabbing for your paddle, you need to do a quick adjustment and you need to do it fast, and not having it in one piece and not having it readily accessible doesn't make any sense to me. So I never use that. All right, so this is going to be your drain valve in case you do get water in it for whatever reason. You can drain it out this hole. It's above the water line, which is nice. This has an anchor trolley installed on it. This does not come standard. And what you're looking at here is just my pulling line for my motor. And so my lift cable, I can kind of pull it up from right here. Underneath here, all right, this is going to be your rudder cable pull. And so you can pull this up. I'll show you. And that goes up back there, down, up. And then you can just kind of lock that in place. You're good to go. You got accessory mounts back here. I know as a content creator, I run a Boomstick Pro from Yak Attack off my back left to get those over the shoulder shots. And then in the back here, you got track mounts. If you ever need to, if you're not putting a motor on it and you want to put a camera back here, you could, but it has rubber mounts on it to make it a little easier, a little bit softer on the hands. I kind of wish they had the rubber mounts on the front as well. So this isn't super comfortable. I love to have, I don't know, the rubber on the bottom or something. Because this is usually the one they're using if you're utilizing native sidekicks, which I do. Another thing often missed is going to be your ability to run cables like a transducer. So you usually put a transducer battery in here, and when this thing shuts, you're going to run wire through here, underneath here, down along the side, down to here, and as you can see, there's actually a groove. Let's go underneath the kayak. And you see that groove comes down to around here. This is going to hold your wire in there, and you can install your transducer right underneath the bottom of the bow. So pretty sweet. I like it. I like it a lot. Probably going to put some type of, even though this is reinforced here, probably going to put some type of keel guard on there. I got videos of that. If you have never seen them before, for like 20 bucks, you can put like a Kydex keel guard, and it's going to protect this. What usually you ram into, the rocks or the boat ramp. It's like a cheese grater. All right, something else to note, this is actually foot steering compatible. That's why you got these two screws here. And but kind of somewhat defeats the purpose. It gets really compact in here. And the reason you probably bought this is for the pedal drive. And if you have foot steering, you're gonna have those foot pegs out right here, and they're gonna get in the way of your pedal drive. So although compatible, if you're buying this kayak because of the pedal drive, it's going to get in the way. Now, that would be the only way that you could put like a 3 horsepower motor on this and control it, is through those foot pedals. Because like I said earlier, you're going to have a hard time doing it with your hand control. And technically, you could use this as a captain's bridge. You can put electronics up here. But once again, if you put a captain's bridge here, you're really saying see you later to your pedal drive, and you decided to get rid of that completely and utilize foot steering on a motor. So completely up to you, nonetheless compatible. And then let's look under the back of this kayak. This is going to be your spring blade. This is going to swing back. And then this is always kind of nice. It's going to be your skid plate back here that is replaceable. So if you ever drag this thing like a mother, and this gets really thin, you can just replace it and you're good to go. And there you go, you can kind of see the whole design as well. If you guys are wondering what I have this on, all right, this is gonna be a Malone, I think it's called a stow and go, where you can kind of put it on there, move it around. I'm constantly moving kayaks around. My wife's getting super irritated for having to move it all the time. This makes it really easy where I can do it myself. You can lock it in place, and I can flip it back up and just kind of move this to and from my truck up there. So if you're interested in one of those, I'll throw the link in the description. But back to this boat. All right, so now that we've gone through the features of this bad boy, let me take it out in the water and tell you what I think. All right, the truth, this is not like a jack of all trades kayak. It's a compact fishing specialist that shines in environments I believe most people actually like to fish, right? Now, tracking and handling. Now, for a 10-footer, she holds the line surprisingly well. The pedal drive plus rudder combo gives you more control than you would expect from something this compact. But does it have the glide of that 12 to 14-foot kayak? kayak? No, if you try to cross a giant lake in this thing, your legs are gonna write a strongly worded email to your brain. Now let's talk about stability, right? You can stand in this. It's 34.5 wide. You're good, you can shift a little bit, but I would say it's stable enough that most anglers can stand. But remember, shorter haul, that secondary stability isn't as forgiving as those big boys. Now, maneuverability, I believe this is where the Native Slayer LTE slaps, right? You want to take it on a slow moving river, those backwater pockets, sneaking in those spots, your buddy in his 14-foot kayak is not gonna be able to reach. I believe it turns pretty quick. Let's go ahead and do a 360 really fast. I believe we're probably at around 25 feet to do a full 360. So it's gonna turn quick for you. It's gonna pivot really well for you. All right, so now let's talk about portability. That 65-pound haul weight, depending on what you have on it. Loading is actually fun. I mean, okay, maybe not fun, but doable without chiropractor on speed dial, right? This is one of the most throw in the truck and go pedal kayaks on the market. If you have a really short bed truck like I do, it's perfect so you don't have this thing hanging out 4 or 5 feet from the back of your truck. All right, so when it comes to paddling, it paddles like you think a 10-foot kayak would paddle, right? It's not gonna keep that really straight glide of a line, but it paddles all right. But that's not why you buy this kayak. You buy it for the pedal drive. So that Propel drive is freaking awesome. You get that instant reverse. You can stop the second you hook set on a bass or whatever fish you're targeting. You can start back pedaling to kind of keep that slack out of your line. So that's one of the reasons I love a pedal drive kayak. And the Propel drive has been around for, I don't know, 12 years or so. They really dialed that in. It is a bulletproof pedal drive. So now I'm gonna get back off the water. I'm gonna head back to my home and I'm gonna do the rest of this review. All right, so now let me walk you through my rating system for this. Portability, I'm gonna give this a 9.5 out of 10, right? One of the lightest, high quality pedal kayaks that you can buy. Stability, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, right? It's good width, right? Solid for the average standing angler. Rigability, 9 out of 10. Right, tracks everywhere, it's motor ready, it's sonar ready, there's a lot of thought going through cable management, good job there. Now when it comes to speed and efficiency, I'm gonna give this kind of a lower rating. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. In short, it's pedal short, right? You'll notice it's more of a maneuverable kayak than a speed efficiency kayak. And so it's just what you get with those shorter 10-foot kayak. However, on the flip side, you got maneuverability. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Right, this is where I believe this kayak shines. It kind of turns, has a really great turning radius, as we just got done showing you, out on the water. Now, weight capacity at 425 pounds is generous for a 10-foot haul. So I'm gonna give capacity an 8.5 out of 10. Tracking, I'm gonna give this thing a 8 out of 10, right? The rudder helps a ton, a little better than expected. And then the hull design, as I showed you a minute ago, is gonna help with tracking as well. Now, comfort. Now, the Native seats, they're comfy in the short term, right? So for comfort, I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10, right? It's not a recliner, but it's good. It's not freaking awesome, but it's good. So solid seat. Like I said earlier, you're gonna wanna get some type of seat cushion. Now when it comes to durability, Native has been making kayaks for a long time. I owned a Native Slayer Propel 10 circa 2018. Solid kayaks. You got the skid plates, so thinking about those wear points. And on the front, of course, I don't know why kayaks don't make some type of click-in keel guard. I don't know why. Hopefully someone here soon will, but nonetheless, you could put a keel guard on there or want, but clickable ones make sense to me. So when they wear out, you just click another one in. So Native, if you're listening, someone please make a clickable keel guard. My gosh. Now, when it comes to value, 9.5 out of 10. This kayak actually gets a really high rating. If you want a lightweight pedal power kayak, the Native Slayer Propel 10 LTE is tough to beat. So now let's talk about some other kayaks that may compete, right? You may be looking at, if you're looking at an LTE, you might be looking at a Vibe Makana. I spent a week in a Vibe Makana. But for the 10-foot kayak, it's kind of in that range. You might run across it if you're doing research. However, in my opinion, the Native LTE has it beat. You also got the Brooklyn Kayak Company 10.5 single pedal drive. No, just no. If you're thinking about it, Stop thinking about it. Now, when it comes to the biggest competitor that Native has, I believe they are competing with themselves, right? They also make a Native Slayer Propel 10 Max, coming in at 97 pounds fully rigged. And so this one's 85, that one's 97. I'm not great at math, a 12-pound difference. Is that really going to be the make or break? So if you're looking at this one and you're not worried about the 12-pound difference, you might want to look at the Slayer Propel 10 Max. Right now, specifically what you're going to look at is the hull design. It's different, so that's what you're going to be looking for. I'm sure there's different features as well, but keep that in mind if you're looking at the LTE. Now let's talk areas for improvement. Now let's be honest, nothing is flawless except maybe bacon, but here's what you should know. It's a short kayak, right? It's going to have less glide. Big water folks, you might, beware. Fully rigged at 85 pounds, still not like solo rooftop effortless. Secondary stability is okay. It's not walk around the deck like it's a bona fide XTR good, but it's okay. So if you plan on covering long distances, right, you're gonna feel this in the quads. But here's the thing, I can usually find like a major flaw in design or something like a major miss on a kayak, but surprisingly enough, nothing major on the LTE. Now, you might not know this, but when I do my kayak reviews, I usually call someone who's owned the kayak for longer than I have to say, hey, what are some areas for improvement? If you could tell Native to do something different in their next iteration, what would it be? And he's like, hey, not a lot of major misses. The only issue that he had was quite a bit of adjustment on the steering, right? You got these cables, they've never been used before. And so a lot of times he said on his, they actually slipped out. So he had to get into here and reconnect it. And these cables will stretch over time, and it takes a while to get those fully dialed in. And so just know that you might have to goof around with it a little bit, but when it comes to major misses, this is a solid kayak. So now let's talk about who this kayak is really made for, right? Heck yes, these are ideal users, the small lake anglers, pond anglers, tight river and creek fishermen, slow moving rivers, right? Truck bed launchers, rooftop warriors, people who love like rigging electronics. This is really modular. You can kind of make it whatever you want it to be. And anglers who want a pedal drive kayak without the 100-pound hull. But probably not great for, big water tournament guys covering 10 miles before launch, or that's something you want to get into, right? Anyone needing a massive standing platform or a lot of stability, or people expecting that 14-foot glide from a 10-foot kayak. So if you often stand or fish rough water or work in very shallow or extremely weedy environments, you may bump into some stability or clearance trade-offs. So maybe you've asked yourself, how in the world do they make one kayak lighter than the next? You might think to yourself, oh, they just must use less material in the hull. And that's actually not true. I went to the comment section on Native's website, and this is what they had to say. It is a single roto-molded kayak, and it's durable as all their other models, right? You can save weight and still keep strength based off of how the hull is made. Now, more angles and shallower deck height, they help with less material overall, which doesn't mean less strength. So don't fall into that myth that this is actually a thinner hulled kayak. They have their standards that they must meet. So if you want a compact fishing kayak that's a pedal drive that punches above its weight class, well, the LTE may be perfect for you. It's simple, it's capable, it's maneuverable, and it's actually light for a pedal drive kayak. Now, I will say I own a Native Slayer Propel 10, and then I moved to my Bonafide P127, which is a 12.7 foot kayak, and then back to a 10. And to be completely honest with you, it felt super cramped, mostly because I've been in a larger kayak and I got accustomed to it. But I will also say that whenever I was first started off in a 10-foot kayak, it didn't feel cramped. It just felt awesome to be in a fishing kayak. So something to consider if you're coming from a larger boat. Now, if you own one, I want to hear your thoughts below, the things you love about it and the things that make you swear, all the good stuff. So make sure you type those in below. Your experience might help someone else. Now, if you're doing a bunch of research looking for a pedal drive kayak and you've come across the Bonafide P127, well, I've done a review on that one. You can check that video out right there. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.